Happy evening to all masters. Welcome to day 3 in the Mastery Workshop, friends. We have learned about meditation, its benefits, and the importance of conscious living. Today, we will explore the miracles of the mind and how to harness its power. Before starting this session, my humble pranams to Dr. Brahmaji Pitamaha Patriji and Swarnamala Patri Madam. Friends, without delay, let's welcome our speaker, Divya Makam. She got introduced to meditation from her sister in 2009. Since then, being a regular practitioner of meditation, she is an IT professional and also she has given her services volunteering in PSSM Bangalore for website works, Dhyana Kasturi monthly magazines, and now providing services in PMC USA as a digital creator, handling social media tasks for PMC USA and Atlanta Pyramid Meditation Academy. I know her personally and have witnessed how she overcame her challenges through meditation while selflessly helping others. Welcome, my hearty welcome, Divya, and stage is all yours.
Thank you, Sirisha. Thank you so much. You were a great support too. So, yeah, I would like to thank you. Yes, hello, friends. So, before we begin our session today, I would like to appreciate each one of you for having chosen to be here and taken a conscious effort and ready to redefine our lives, right? So we are here for a purpose, we are not here for time pass. So we all know that we have been making this effort, so I would like to congratulate you all first. So today's topic is miracles of mind. Are you able to see my screen, Sirisha?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Yes, so we know that mind is a showstopper of whatever changes we want to bring into our lives. It's a hero, right? But if we are thinking it's a villain, we will be spending our whole lifetime struggling and fighting with our mind to make these changes, and that is never going to happen. So is mind really a hero or a villain? Does it work by controlling it? Or does it work by liberating the mind or befriending the mind? Right? This sounds something positive and very friendly, right? So, how do we befriend this mind? We will see through this session today. So, this is what our childhood looked very happy and joyful. The mind is still developing and not completely developed. So, our child mind is like a sponge which is taking all the information from its surroundings and its five sense organs: eyes, nose, taste, tongue, ears, the touch, right? So, and it also develops its personality and self image through the genes, society, her school, education, parents, environment, right? So, one minute. Yeah. So, when we are how as when we create this belief systems and personality, we are carrying this personality to our adulthood, and our entire life is in the control of our belief systems. We all agree, right? So how do we experience world, or how do we see the world? We see the way it's reflected in the mirror of our mind. What we identify strongly or attach with something, all our thoughts, our actions, everything is reflecting around this belief system. We all agree that, right? So let's see what we can do about it. So when we have this images or the reflections of the mind, when does it break actually? When you really come across situations, or when life hits us very hard, when we have a loss, or when we face an accident, or when we see a death, or when we face a near death experience, that is when we fall out of this uh, uncontrollable state of mind. And that's when our mirror of mind breaks, because we are autopiloted to live in a certain way since our childhood, and we follow the same patterns every day unconsciously. We are all living unconsciously. So how do we break, or how do we clean this mirror of image so that we don't fall into that unconscious living? It's by cleansing our mirrors and seeing everything as it is, as it exists. Sometimes we call it, our situations, we call it as fate, but is it really fate? Let's see. So first, let's understand what is mind. So basically, mind is divided into conscious mind and subconscious mind. Conscious mind is 10%. We are using 10% of our conscious mind and 90%. Conscious mind is what gives us the willpower. It's a short-term memory, logical thinking, creative thinking, and the critical thinking. And the subconscious is associated with our beliefs, emotions, habits, values, protective reactions, long term memory, imagination, intuition, right? So, in the yogic science, again, mind is divided into 4 parts there: Manas, Buddhi, Chitta, Ahankara, which we also discussed yesterday. Manas is the conscious mind, Buddhi is the intellect, Chitta is our subconscious mind, and Ahankara is actually the identity. It's not the ego, it's what we identify ourselves with. So this Buddhi and Ahankara, they are like co-words, co-playing words, how our identity controls our buddhi, intellect, or how the buddhi protects our identity. So friends, we have to live consciously, right? That's what differentiates us with the animals. When we live consciously, our evolution is at peaks. That's why it is stressed that we have to live consciously. But what are we doing? With an example, I would like to describe. So, for example, let's think there is a man who, with his survival challenges, he starts stealing. He becomes a thief. But with that habitual personality, after he grows up, even though his survival challenges are fulfilled, he still tries or continues to steal things. It might not be necessary for him. He feels very happy even to steal small items, maybe a tissue paper, maybe a cosmetic, maybe a comb. That gives him some kind of satisfaction. Sometimes this personality gets carried on to our next generation also. So we might, from nowhere, we might not be poor, we might not seen what being poor is, but still those traits might live with us because our ancestors had it. So this is how living unconsciously is really affecting our lives. So if we have to see or understand what the patterns look like here, the conscious mind and subconscious mind, you can see the difference. So when the conscious mind is creative, it wants to create new things every day. It says, I want to manifest love, but because of our subconscious autopilot programming, right? It says, I fear accepting the responsibilities. It fears it doesn't want to manifest love because it is scared of the emotional risk. It wants to be in a comfort zone. And if you want to start a new relationship, it says, let's avoid it. You might be hurt with what happened with your ex. So that's what happens, and how our subconscious mind is actually controlling our entire lives. So we can see more than 95% we are living in our with the help of our subconscious mind. So let's also see what kind of thinking we all have. Uh, um, Thinking is classified in these four categories: disastrous thinking, negative thinking, positive thinking, miraculous thinking. And the thoughts also can be classified as surface thoughts, root thoughts, sponsoring thoughts, and core beliefs. Those surface thoughts are usually associated with our feelings, emotions, right? And this root thoughts, sponsoring thoughts, they all define our attitude, which comes from the surface thoughts. With the attitude develops our belief system, and with belief system, our perceptions gets developed. So you can see how everything is interconnected, right? So the surface thoughts might take few minutes for changing. The root thoughts, sponsoring thoughts might take some years, and the core beliefs, the perceptions might take lifetime, my dear friends. So you can imagine the picture, how how much sadhana we have to do, or where we stand today, right? I don't think this slide needs any more explanation. If you have any doubts, you can still raise your hands when I'm moving through the slide. So coming back to our conscious mind and subconscious mind, our conscious mind is the intellectual mind. It's able to accept and reject information. Our subconscious mind is also related to our heart. It accepts everything. It cannot determine what is real and imagined. It cannot determine what is correct, what is wrong. It's just a storage of memories and experiences from what we have gathered from our conscious mind. So it's very much necessary to access this conscious mind if we are willing to live a conscious life, a redefined, a reprogrammed life, right? So what happens when we are naturally in a meditative state? Our brain waves slow down and we enter into the theta state, where we are in the hypnosis state. So that is when the doors to the subconscious mind opens, and that is when we can tap our subconscious mind and rebuild our life from whatever we've been carrying since our childhood, irrespective of our choices, irrespective of we like it or not. We have been carrying it throughout our life. So the bridge between our conscious mind and subconscious mind is our breath, my dear friends. This is the greatest secret. So when we observe the breath, that's what we do in our meditation. We are being able to tap our subconscious mind. So how do we access? Yes, as I told just now, by one tool is meditation. And when we have really reprogrammed our life, reprogrammed our mind, our reality of life changes, right? Because the kind of thoughts we produce, the kind of thoughts we release changes. So we know that these thoughts are associated with electrical pulses, correct? Because it's a neurological phenomena which is happening. So when these thoughts, whatever the thoughts we are releasing, our heart, the magnetic heart, it starts attracting. That is how manifestations actually work, and we call it miracle, right? So this is not a manifestation session, so I'll not stress much upon that. So accessing the subconscious mind during meditation is fine, but when we are in an awakened state, how do we break that cycle of being in an autopilot. We can break it by conscious, break the routine formula. So for example, anything, whatever you're doing every day, we cannot change much, because we have to cook, we have to go to office, we have to do our daily routines. All these things cannot be changed, but whatever you are doing, do it in a different way, small changes. If you're cooking with your right hand, so when I remember, okay, I feel like I need to break my routine, I immediately move it to my left hand. Just making small simple changes, we can cut down that circuit of being in our unconscious mode. So apart from this, we can also reprogram our mind with affirmations. Whatever repeated actions we've been doing, that's what rewires our mind also. So we can, as we saw, the kind of thoughts we all totally, we exist in those four kind of thoughts, right? So when we get a negative thought, we can consciously replace it with a positive thought. We will experience that in our meditation also, today's session. And by doing this, it has a very great impact on our health. For all of us, health is a main concern. We have many books on this. If you read Joe Dispenza's audiobooks or the books, he tells how subconscious mind is working and how we can rewire it with his meditations. And if we see Louise Hay, she has given, you can heal your life, you can heal your body, just by your thoughts, without any medicines. Every cell in our body, it's like an army, it's soldiers, my dear friends. So it's just waiting for the command from the main brain, but we are not knowing how to give the command to these soldiers. So there are case studies where she cured her cancer also. And there is a book called You Are the Placebo. It also deals with the same thing, how we can heal our body, how we can give command to ourselves, and the biology of belief. So there are many books based on these things, which you can go back and refer for more information. Yeah, so we come to the end of the concept. We can meditate and experience today how we can try tapping our subconscious mind. So, friends, let's all sit in meditation. It's very simple. Find your comfortable position. Cross your feet, fingers into fingers, clasp your fingers. Remove your glasses, spectacles if you're wearing. Close your eyes and be with your natural breath. We are not forcing our breath here. However natural we are, that impact, that effective our meditation will be. Let's